Good morning, Yugi boys and girls, and welcome to the first episode of Go Second Saturdays. Today, I want to give just a overview of what Go Second Saturdays are, and it's going to be a series in which I take random decks and see how they can go second in today's meta. We'll be taking anything from Mech Knights to Crusadias, Super Quants. Of course, we have to throw those in there. And, we'll throw in some good decks too, like Sky Striker and Infernoids. Really, whatever you come up with in the comments, we will give it a shot. We will analyze just how effective the decks are at breaking boards, OTKing, setting up through interruption. Really, the hallmarks of going second. But what I kind of want to do for this first episode is let's just get an idea of how to blind second. This is an art that very few individuals not only attempt but are actually any good at. And if it's one thing that I can brag about in Yu-Gi-Oh is that I tend to go second all the time because I kind of prefer giving my opponent that opportunity to set up their impressive, unbreakable board, and then just throw a bunch of Power Rangers at them and slap them in the face. That might say a lot about my psychology, but whatever. So let's go through a few important things on how to blind second and how to be good at it. So the first step, the first thing we really need to look at is you need to know your deck inside and out. You can't just pick up a deck and do a few test hands, take it to locals, and you expect that you're just going to go 4 or 5-0 and just destroy every meta deck there is. Your greatest strength is going to be knowing what your interactions are, what every card in your deck does, what every possible combination from this card to this card, how you're going to interact with your opponent. That's going to be your greatest strength. So step one, you need to learn your deck. Step two, you need to know your opponent's decks. And now, it's going to be very difficult, if not impossible, for you to know every single deck there is in Yu-Gi-Oh! There's over 10,000 cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! Hundreds of different decks that all do their own unique, different things. So really focus on the top meta decks. And if you're just playing at locals, really focus on what you see happening at your locals. You don't necessarily have to know every single deck. You just need to know the powerful cards, like right now DPE, Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. How are you going to out Makaba, Winda? How are you going to out all these big, impressive cards that are really holding you back from winning? On top of that, if your deck plays hand traps, learn where your hand traps are most powerful. Should you Ash Blossom a Alistair, or should you use it on the Nadir? Should you imperm a Moye for whatever fucking reason, or should you wait until your turn comes around so that you can bait out the Baron negate? Those are things that you need to know how to do. So one of the best ways to do this is get on Dueling Book or get on EDO Pro, Master Duel when that comes out, and play around with some of the meta decks. You actually play the deck. You will learn very quickly those choke points. You'll learn what interaction hurts the most, what hand traps hurt, and at what point. It also doesn't hurt if you take notes. Locals is a setting in which you can learn to be better as a player. Take your deck to locals, learn how you do against these decks, and write down, like, hey, I should have used Ash here. Droll would have been a really great card against this deck. Take notes. Whatever. It's locals. Don't do it at regional because that's frowned upon, but do it at locals. The third skill that we're going to learn is possibly the most difficult skill that you have to develop, and it's not something that everybody just innately has. Okay, some people are more analytical, and it's a little bit easier for them, but a lot of us are, pea brains that play Mystic Mind decks. So, third skill, adapt and overcome. Every game, every player, every interaction is going to be completely different. You're not going to be playing the same game twice. One player might try to interrupt you right away in your plays because they don't know what your deck does. Or another player will wait until the very last second because they know your power cards. Alright, they know not to hit your blue layer, and instead they'll wait for your Alphen because they're a dick and they know exactly which card's going to hurt the most. So don't rely on your opponent to interrupt you at specific points. You have to be able to make your plays with confidence and then take the punches as they come. If they hit this certain point, are you able to pivot into a different game plan, or can you extend further to go back into your original game plan? These are things that you have to learn to do well as you get to know your deck and as you get to know the interactions. To go along with this, you need to learn how to very quickly dissect a strategy that you've never seen before. You may come up to a regionals and somebody brought a what's a really obscure stupid deck. Somebody brings Sylvans. Nobody knows what the fuck Sylvans do, unless you've been playing Duel Links back in the OG days. Shout out to the OG Duel Links players. You don't know what Sylvans do. Nobody knows where to throw your Ash Blossom. Nobody knows what the hell to do against that. So you need to be able to learn kind of what your opponent's strategy is going, what they're trying to do, and you need to learn this very quickly, or you're going to die. You're going to lose your match. So adapt to their plays. Try to see where they're trying to go, and then in games 2 and 3. That's where you need to be able to be like, okay, Lancia is really going to hurt them. Droll's really going to hurt them. I really need to imperm at this specific point. Those are things that you learn very quickly if you're going to be a blinding second. Phase 4, we've already kind of hit on this a little bit, but learn from your mistakes. This can be said as a general statement to anyone trying to get better at the game or get better at life. This is a very important thing that we all need to learn to do, not just in Yu-Gi-Oh, but in life. You need to learn from things that you screw up on. If you don't learn from your mistakes, then you're not going to be good at going second, because you're going to keep making the same dumb mistakes over and over, and you're going to keep losing, and you're going to get frustrated, and you're going to go back to playing Mystic Mind. Don't go back to playing Mystic Mind. Play a real deck. Alright? Once your match is over, don't be afraid to ask your opponent what you did wrong. Be like, hey, at what point should I throw an Ash Blossom out at you? Should I not even play Ash Blossom against you? Would Droll hurt your deck? Ask them what power card would hurt the most against them. What interaction would hurt the most? I remember asking one of my good friends, Kyle, when I played against Madolches, he was wrecking my ass with Madolches, and I couldn't figure out what point to stop. And I asked him, hey, what point do you stop this deck so that you don't die? And he's like, just hit the Angeli. Okay, just hit the Angeli. So there you go. Just ask them. Now, your opponent's not always going to be like, yeah, just hit this card. But it doesn't hurt to ask. And then the last thing, don't be afraid to take risks. When you're blinding second, a lot of times it is balls to the wall. If your opponent has the resources to beat you on their next turn, and you have just enough to maybe try to OTK, but you're not going to be able to make it next turn, take the risk. Go for it. Don't give them the opportunity to get that second turn and then turn the tide and then take control of the game so that you can't play. Take those risks. Utilize powerful cards like Utopia Double, Axis Code Talker, Boral Sword Dragon. all of those things that are going to end the game right here, right now. Don't try and grind it out if you can't. Like if you know your deck, you'll know, okay, I have no way to grind this out. I need to just go for it. Do it. Don't hold back. Go for it. There's no way you're going to outgrind a meta deck when all you have is a couple of extenders and no starter card. Okay, there's a lot of times in Super Quants where I end up with red layer and green layer, and it's like, what the fuck do I do with these? Well, make Verte Anaconda, make Dragoon, blow up, burn, attack per game. Sometimes that works. When I went through basic training, one of the most influential quotes that I took from that from my drill sergeant was, "It's better to die on your feet than live on your knees." So use that mentality when you're going second. Sometimes you need to just go for it, because otherwise you may not win that game. You may not win that game anyway, but give it a shot. Well, guys, I've rambled on enough. I hope you have gotten something out of this. I look forward to taking your suggestions and throwing them into Dueling Book or EDO Pro, and really testing out the effectiveness of going second with some of these random S decks that you throw at me in the comment. So whatever you guys think we should try, throw it in there and we'll see. I'll put my money where my mouth is, saying that that I think I'm a decent going second player. And this will help me as well, learning how to do things like this. I'm excited for this new series. Don't forget to tell your mother you love her. May the cards be with you. Peace out.